A tense night in Chapel Hill as protesters took a stand against UNC's plan to move Silent Sam to another part of campus. UNC Chapel Hill's chancellor announced a plan to build a $5.3 million building, which will be the Confederate statue's new home. We want to know what you think about UNC's plan to move Silent Sam. Vote now on WFMY.com/vote now. And as you weigh in, WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty is live in Chapel Hill with more on tonight's protest.
Well, from where I am standing, the crowd gathered across Franklin Street at what is called the Peace and Justice Plaza. But many of the demonstrators chanted tonight that there will be no justice, no peace if there is no justice, saying putting Silent Sam back up, even if it's on a different part of this university campus, showed that the university was siding with those who favored Confederate monuments.
What you are doing now is where your legacy will lie years and years from now. You will be remembered as yet another chancellor who protected white supremacy and sided with white supremacists.
The university says it is bound by state law to put the monument back up in a similar location. It's planning to develop and house the statue on South Campus, known as Odom Village. Speakers addressed a crowd of hundreds of people, and they say they're firmly against Silent Sam back up in what they call a type of shrine, disrespectful to minority students on campus.
UNC shows time and time again that they consider minority students to be accessories, something to put on their brochures and Twitter pages and not something to be taken seriously.
The crowd later took to Franklin Street, marching and chanting all the way back to the pedestal in McCorkle Place, which was surrounded by barricades and by police officers. The crowd drew closer, pulling at the barricades, and the officers in riot gear made sure to contain them. Police did detain at least one person. And protesters have also said they are hoping that all teaching assistants, in a way of protest, not grade any final exams, not grade any final papers as a strike against this university decision. However, this is not a done deal. This is still up to the UNC Board of Governors, and that decision comes later next week. Now, if the plan does go through, this complex, this development will be completed by 2022.